evening. Welcome to good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. We have on Graham Bonnet. How are you?
I'm okay. As you can see, I'm unshaved, and we've just got. It's kind of like I don't care right now because we're off the road, so I don't have to shave. But I do get. I got a new razor, in fact, yesterday because mine broke on the road. We had a lot of problems. Unfortunately, we had a flat tire in England. Then we went to Spain. We had a flat tire there. We had flat tires, and all the band was sick. So we had a great,
Jeez.
but had a great tour, believe it or not. But
Now,
as I said, I'm sort of relaxing and not sure. I will shave later. It's a
well,
bit
you're
early.
allowed to. You're allowed to. I don't like shaving on a regular daily basis, and I go nowhere, so
And
so
yeah, it's a
it's a
drag, isn't
pain.
it? It really is, especially when my hair is very fine and I use an electric razor, and sometimes it sort of snags the hair. It's like,
Yeah.
anyway, enough of the shaving.
Well, actually, it's funny. There's actually a reference in your last was it the Imposter video and the Imposter song. You do a reference to the electric
Yeah,
razor
yeah,
too. So
yeah.
that's the
Because
tie-in. That's the tie-in you're using right now. Good lead-in, Bond. All
I
right.
thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of it's a thing I think we all have. When you're sort of getting older and whatever. I mean, if you're 40 or 30 or whatever, you look in the mirror and say, no, wait a minute, I don't look like that, do I? But now I look in the mirror and I still see the younger me, but at the same time, I see my dad, he was a very handsome man, I must say. So, but my dad, Lou, I mean, Lou Bonnet was actually a very handsome man. And he died when he was 92. And I miss him. I was talking about him this morning to Bethany. I said how much I miss him, because recently we lost another dear friend, Bethany's ex-husband's mom. She died a few days ago. And we're kind of going through that mourning right now. It's everybody's dying all over
Yeah.
the damn place. But his mom, I should say, Peter, his name is her ex. She was 95, and
Wow.
we used to exchange pains and aches when she came over. We'd always have a bit of a laugh about getting older. And I said, because I'm a baby compared to her, and but she said, "Oh, Graham, she had a German accent. I can't lift my arm more than this." I'm saying, "Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that arthritis thing." But so we're going through a time where we kind of just want to relax
Yeah.
and think about her, and Christmas coming up, which is it's always this time of year when you lose people who are close to you. Christmas, it seems, or
It seems like
birthdays.
that are holidays, and you know, it, and you said, but the age though, to me, I always think, I look at you. I mean, you're 75, right? Like you are.
Yeah, I'm going to be 76 in a few days.
Oh wow! So
Holy crap!
happy
Yeah, I
early
know.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's amazing. I think the energy you put out, like I couldn't. I'm 53. I haven't got the energy you have. Your vocals are as strong as ever. Like you, there's no. I mean, that's inspiring. That's like when when growing up, I'm like, I never thought, what 50 would look like. Look, 75. I mean, that's the bar. It's like raising the bar. You know what I mean? That's that's
Well, it's
great.
I mean, the outer shell isn't wearing well, as one of my songs said. Oh, wait a minute, the dog's coming back. Go on, off we go. Good girl. Um, the outer shell isn't wearing well. It's a line I put in a song. I can't remember which song it is now. It doesn't matter. But I mean, I can see that I'm older. But unfortunately, I think we all feel the same way. You don't change. I still feel the same way as I did when I was 18.
I
That
do
kind of a,
too. And I
everybody
don't.
does.
Yeah, but I never understood that when they say you're not going to realize it. I'm like, you don't listen. But then you walk by, you look in the mirror, like you said, you're like, who's that old dude looking at me? Like,
Yeah, no, but as I said, he was a very handsome man. The first thing I noticed was not necessarily looking in the mirror, but looking down at my hands and going, "Hang on, that's my dad's hands." I remember them looking like this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Sort of. My dad was a farmer, and he worked very hard on the land, and his hands were kind of like big man's hands, And I look down at my hands and go, well, not quite big man's hand, but they are sort of like my dad's. But I grew up in a farming community kind of thing, and I look back at those times, and I was very happy, and I was lucky to have parents like I had. They were very encouraging, and when I left home when I was 18 to go to London, they were said to me, well, Graham, I don't know. I don't know if this is a good idea. But then they encouraged me when they found out that I was getting work together for myself in the
Yeah.
music business, you know. So and after that, of course, they're with me all the way. It was I've been very lucky. I had a musical family, and they helped me develop my talents, if you will, you know.
Well, beyond that, I think obviously from a hardworking farming family, I think that's there's a work ethic that's also pushed you through because the music business, you could have the talent, but it's not going to push you through to get through all the
No.
other garbage. That's like, talent's like 10%. The rest of the
Yeah.
garbage you've dealt with all these years since what, 67, 68, and now
Yeah.
it's bananas. The industry's
Yeah.
changed. You've got to be flexible. You've got to deal with personalities and travel and
Yeah.
illness and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, things of I always think, you know, it doesn't matter how freaking good you are. It seems to me, I'm being very sarcastic and cynical about this, I think. It seems to me, sort of, uh, what can I say? Um, sort of, I'm trying to think of a word that I can put in here. Being very average, not really the best musician in the world, but you can have a team behind you that works for
Yes.
you. There's a lot of people in the business. You know, it seems like mediocrity
I
rules.
was going to say, yeah, there's a lot of mediocre performers out there,
Yeah, I
talents
mean,
with a great
yeah,
bunch of handlers. Can't
yeah,
even make you
exactly.
move.
I mean, I look back at my days, you know, when I was in England, and I said, my mum used to say to me, "Do you know who Cliff Richard is? Cliff
I
Richard,
do.
the
Oh, yeah, I
singer?
do.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Cliff Richard was like the British so-called Elvis, and my mom used to say to me, "You're better looking than him, Graham, and you sing much better." Well, you know, and but she say things like that, and I thought, "Oh no, I'll never do that." I always look at Cliff Richard because my girlfriend loved him at the time, you know, and so I bought her a Cliff Richard album for Christmas, I remember, and I listened to it, and I thought, I don't know, but she was very happy with it. But that's the way it is, you know. All these girls love Cliff Richard, and he's still around. You know, we know that, and it just seems, yeah, mediocrity. It's the machine around that mediocrity that makes something out of almost nothing. You know, and
And you need a
I'm
good team.
a musician.
Yeah, and
Pardon?
you need a team. No, and you need a team, and that's really the model even
Yeah,
nowadays. To
yeah.
make it in music, you have to have a team of other people. You have to do your music, but you have to know how to other people do your other stuff and how to handle. In time, it changes obviously with media over the years, with record companies and streaming. But you got to
Yeah,
have that somebody has the pulse, but also
yeah,
has your back. And they get
yeah,
somebody that has the pulse and have your back. That's
mhm,
always been the challenge for musicians. You're either getting
yeah,
screwed over, or you're not getting anywhere because you're just
right.
So to get both of them is when you get huge. But even the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
ones, you get Peter
I,
Grant, you get Colonel Parker, even the big ones getting the
yeah,
money for them. You still
yeah.
get you know the
Well, what we've done, well, Bethany has now taken over the management and everything because we've had, crap, I can't think, but about three or four managers that couldn't manage us for whatever reason, you know. They didn't understand the music, they didn't understand the personalities within the band. But now Bethany has taken over everything. And I tell you what, she's doing a freaking great job. You know, booking all the flights, blah, 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 tour manager, bass
yeah.
player. And that, now she said, "Oh, I'm doing all this shit. You want me to play fucking bass?" Yeah, absolutely. You know,
You
and
better get
she's,
something really nice for Christmas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's, yeah, people, I tell you some things, people love her. And if she wasn't there, they go, "What's happened to the band?" You know, but because she's been there, she helped produce the last record with Conrad, our guitar player. And she's developing her talent more than I realized she would because she got very, very much into bass playing now. And at first she was like, it's okay, it's fun, blah, blah, blah. But now she's really got serious about it. And I'm not saying she wasn't before, but she was in like a band that did all covers and things like that, you know. But this is writing music, all new stuff,
Right.
and she gets in there and develops a bass part and whatever else, you know. But before that, she was really just doing cover songs with a band she was in here in LA before I met her, and that's like 10 years ago now or 11 years. So we've been together about 11 years, I think. And
I,
so it's the band has gotten better now. We have a new keyboard player. Um, Alessandro Bertoni, and oh god, everybody's foreign in this band except for the one guy. That's
I mean, technically, you're foreign too if you're in this country
yeah,
when you're
yeah.
saying it. So,
I know we're all foreign.
right.
Nobody's actually from here, So yes, so we have Kyle Hughes, who is 26. He's a very young man, but a
Wow.
fucking drummer. He's a great drummer. So now we have those two people, the keyboard player and the drummer, who are really ace, and Conrado Pesanado, who's a great guitar player, and of course, Bethany playing bass and me singing. So it's good. It's like a little family. I'm very happy we got these two new guys because they're very much into it, and they, if everything goes wrong, they can always put things right. Wait a minute, we're having a crappy night tonight. No, we're not. All right then. I like the way they drive me because sometimes I feel like, oh fuck, I don't want to go. I have bronchitis on the road, so there's me with bronchitis. I've just got back, as I said. We had Alessandro, our keyboard player. He had back problems. Our drummer, Kyle, he was throwing up. Our guitar player was okay. Conrado was fine. Bethany was sick, stomach problems. So all that was going on while we're trying to do a show, And as I said, these guys, they came forward and did the best they could with these illnesses going on and backing me up because I was like, coughing and choking. But once I heard them play, I said, well, if they can do it, so can I. And it went very well. I must say, the tour we just did. I'm very proud of the band, very proud of them.
Well, I think to be, at your level, you need a band that's going to keep inspiring you and sometimes bringing in new blood, younger people that are happy, enjoying it, something fresh.
Yeah.
You can feed off of their energy because you've been doing it for so long. It can be coming out of this, or, at this point. I mean, first off, for guitar players, you have to have a good guitar player. I mean, look at all the people you've played with. I mean, geez. I mean, the bar is like here for to be a guitar player for you. You can't be like, mediocre. You've got to be firing on all the cylinders, to begin with, for all the songs you do. Now, obviously, everyone knows you from MSG, Alcatrazz, Rainbow. But and there's been talk about, but you've done a couple albums in the past couple of years. That I think personally, I think are some of your best work ever. Vocally, and I'm talking back from the past 3 years, the book, back to Garage, and then the last one you did, it's just
A Day Out of Nowhere.
Yes,
A Day Out of Nowhere. Yeah,
I like
the last one. Oh, the dog again! Bloody hell! Go on then. Don't come back this time. The dog is in and out, in and out. If I'm sitting here, she'll wonder what the hell I'm doing by the door, So the last one we did, I think we had. I spoke to Conrad about how I could never get the right microphone for my voice because when I first started in the business, recording seriously back in 1968, I remember I was recording at IBC Studios, Portland Place, London, and that's where the Bee Gees used to record and everybody else. It's a huge place. And they would say, okay, let's, can you sing a bit, Graham? Oh, okay, yeah. Let me bring out some microphones. I'd have like a row of microphones, 1, 2, 3, and 4 or something. And they say, now try that one. Now try this one. Now try that one. And I go up to the control room and say, well, it doesn't really sound like me. It doesn't give you can't feel the energy or whatever.
Does it make your voice, was it making your voice like thin? Because you have like a baritone but vibrato, and it's like, I think you needed a good mic to pick up your voice because you have a strong voice.
Yes.
And I can imagine being thin sounding.
Yeah. I mean, this time we Conrad went out and found the right microphone that I can't remember the serial number of or anything right now, but it picks up, the sound of your chest, your throat, and you get the body.
Feels big. Feels big.
Yeah. It's really, really big. And that's what she said. Okay. I don't know if I joke. Thank you very much. I'm here all week. So I've actually listened to the album and gone, I can listen to that again. But with most of my albums I did in the past, before we really got this together, I can't listen to them because the sound is very thin or whatever, But on this album, the last album we did, I think the band sounds fantastic, and I like the songs, But on the other 2 albums we've done, I the same really. We just didn't have that vocal thing, which we now have.
Right, but I mean, those other two albums, the vocal thing was still really good. I think. I obviously it does pop more recently, but I mean, the production on those other two. I mean, the songs are so good. Like, I'll be honest with you, because a lot of singers' voices right now, as they age, the voices are aging out on a lot of people. Part of it's just not taking care of yourself. Part of it's just heredity. You know what I mean? But you, I mean, I don't know how you're keeping your 75. You're singing that strong. I mean, like, I don't know. You make a deal with the devil. You drinking the teardrops of orphans. Like, what are you doing
You
to keep
know,
your voice
I
so
don't.
strong?
It's one of I don't know. You know, I've just been very lucky. A lot of my friends who are singers can't sing anymore. You know,
Right.
well, they can sing, but not the way they used to.
Like
And
lower
for some
or yeah,
reason,
higher.
yeah, whatever. Just the power and the vibrato is not there, or there's too much vibrato. People start singing like an old person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need the walking stick, sort of. And I recognized that in one of the things I recognized that in was an older was Tina Turner. I noticed how her voice had more vibrato than it used to have, and that's like an old voice. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I can't put it any other way, but I hear that in singers when they're getting older, they have a lot of vibrato. They don't because they don't have much air. I don't know what it is. It's hard to put my finger on it. That's what she said too. But it's
Try
I
the
think
chicken. Tip the waiters. Here all week.
I'm still here with. It's one of those things that I think I was lucky to be born with. I have the lungs of my granddad, all similar. He had a huge chest. He had a huge chest and a very thin waist, like a greyhound. He was built, and I have the same kind of build, and also the shape of your
The
head.
dog, not the
Uh,
bus.
eh? Not
Built like
what you
the
say.
dog, not the bus. You said built like a
Yeah.
greyhound. I said the dog, not the bus. For people that are paying attention at home, in case you're confused.
But it depends on the body. You know, it
Right.
all is about the body. You know, especially this. The face is your sound box, as we all know. It's like a guitar when you strum it. That sound box makes the volume, or whatever. And the breathing is something. And when you have bronchitis, it's very hard. I can tell you. You know, the breathing is something to do with it. And so, what I do now is I really think about what I'm singing and think, okay, this is coming up. I've got to take a really deep breath now before we do that part. I've got to have the vibrato really even and the high note really even, you know. So I think about it more than I used to, I think, you know, especially when we're recording. I listen to myself and say, no, again and again and again. You're never satisfied. But live, I always think, okay, breathe, take the deepest breath you can and go for it, you know.
I mean,
And that
honestly, when people
that
listen
was
to
the
albums, yeah,
pitch. That was the volume. You know. Pardon. Sorry.
it's great. No, I'm saying, but it's great. I'm not just saying that. Like, I can't believe. In fact, I was listening to it today just because I want to talk about it, and I was re-listening to it, and I was thinking, your voice is so strong, and it actually reminded me of. I didn't think about it. Like, this is way back in the '90s when Bruce Dickinson left Iron Maiden. I'm surprised you weren't one of the people called because your voice, you were one of the few voices that could have stepped in. Obviously, image wise, you would look like their
Yeah.
manager. It wouldn't have been the same thing because they were totally opposite looking.
Yeah.
But you had the voice that could have stepped in and picked right up because it's so strong. You know,
Mhm.
it,
Well,
it, and he still has the voice. I mean, I actually think your voice is probably stronger than his at this point. Still, it's because it hasn't changed. You know,
no, no. I saw him recently. We went to see him play with the. God, what a show that is! Bloody hell!
yeah,
It's all the. It's the what is it? The theatrics or whatever. It's like a fucking. I don't know. It's like a musical or something. The robots and the blah blah blah, whatever it is, that giant thing, and oh my god! So yeah, because Bruce invited us along, and we met his now wife, his
yeah.
girlfriend at the time. Yeah, they just got married, didn't they?
No,
Bruce
yeah, I
did.
think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
just
busy
like
guy. He's a busy guy.
yeah, yeah. And we went and we were backstage, and I said, "Well, where's Bruce?" He's talking to his girlfriend, wife now, and she says, "Oh, he's in the shower." And he comes out with a towel on his head and the thing around his waist, a towel around his waist. Oh, hello, Graham. Yeah, man. Yeah, whoa. As unheavy metal as you can get, but he's a very down to earth person. When you're on stage, it's a different. You're playing a character. Let's
Right.
face it. That's not well, or is that really you? And the one I'm playing now is not really me. Maybe the one on stage is really me. But you have two separate personalities because you have to have that to go on stage and show off, so to speak. And yeah, it's funny. Yeah, split personality. I think most singers
No,
have.
I think I think the problem. I think a lot of entertainers and creative people, and I talked to a lot of people. I think what I always see is there's the creative source of your songwriting, and then the entertainer for the crowds to perform your creativity. And sometimes that's a struggle with an artist because the creativity is what gets them going, but not everyone's up to being the entertainer, and that's usually what gets
Yeah,
you and crushes people. Or
yeah,
you can do it well, like you do it well. Bruce does it well, but and someone like Bruce, flies planes. I think he has a solo album coming out now. He's got a solo
yeah,
tour, and then Maiden. Like you've got 3 albums out in the past couple of years. I mean, you just keep the machine going. Like you know what I mean?
yeah.
You're touring. Actually, you're on tour. You just finished your Spain tour, but now what's going on with the into January touring? Where are you going to start picking up at?
Yeah, we're let's see. I've got to think about this.
All right.
I don't have my manager here at the moment. Where is
No
she?
wrong answers. No wrong answers. North America. Just throw out
Yeah,
continents if you want.
we're playing. I'm not sure if we're going to Boston or Chicago. We don't do many shows here. That's the problem. Is the music we're playing is not fashionable at the moment, as you know, and it's
Yeah.
all electronic, whatever, and nobody sings, nobody plays. It's all machines, and what we're doing is, in a way, sort of dated rock, but because our audience would consist of all white guys, old white guys music, like me,
Yeah.
and grey haired buggers, but now I found that it's changed a lot because the last few concerts we've done in South America and in Japan, etc., the audience is younger and there's more females all of a sudden. And I don't know why that is, but now there's more women in the audience and they're coming back and going, oh, Graham, blah, blah. We love you. We've done this. I've been listening to your music for years. I've never heard that before from an older white woman, so to speak, but they're there. I'm not saying they're old and crotchety. I'm
No,
talking
no.
about women like 40 or
No,
whatever.
no. The demo for hard rock, metal, whatever you want to call it at the time, has always been very niche, and I think
Yeah.
it's opening up. And I noticed it by the demo on my show. I try doing artists from the '60s up until now.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of modern rock as much. I'm more doing guitar and vocal type of singer songwriter, music.
Yeah.
And because the goal is to tell people generation wise, because I'm 53, this stuff's going away. You got to appreciate this kind of music. You know what I mean? You got to support it.
Yeah.
But there has been a resurgence, I think, for a lot of bands, '80s and '90s, and
Yeah.
my my demo is changing. Like the watch my show,
Yeah.
it's rising up.
Yeah.
Female. At
Yeah.
first, it was mostly all male, like almost all male in a certain
Right.
age group, and now it's opened up to female. It's not a certain actually not just male or female. It's non-gender specific, which is even better. Like I just
Yeah.
want it to be just an open palette for everybody to just enjoy
Yeah.
music. And
Yeah.
maybe it's
That's
because
quite.
they're bringing their kids. I just brought my kid to see a concert not that long ago. When they're getting older,
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, I do think there's been a surgence of some like generationally. I say because like when you listen to music at a certain point in your life, those are your years. That's the classic lineup for a band. And then a lot of people go off to college and work and stuff. They don't listen to music; it's not a priority. But now a lot of them have it's like my dog at home. They don't have the same priority. But like when you get older, and once you get past that, your kids are out of school, whatever. You back, you have expendable money.
Yeah.
You're back at concerts
Yeah.
again. You're doing it again,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of the resurgence again for rock because everyone's back at a spot where they're like, "All right, I'm going out and I'm going back to music again." I got all that
Yeah.
grown up stuff done, but now they're bringing
Yeah.
their kids, and
Yeah.
I think that's bringing something to the table.
Yeah. It,
But the
it is.
cool,
What on the last tour we did? Where were we? I think we went to Japan or something. But we took. I can't remember where we were. I'm a little bit still jet lagged. I keep going to sleep at 3 in the afternoon. We took Bethamy's son along, and he's a drummer, and he'd never been backstage, so to speak, with a band on tour, and you really enjoyed it. And he's 19, and he was like, this is incredible. I mean, he's a 19-year-old kid, but he loves all the heavy stuff. And at first, I wasn't quite sure if you like what we were doing, because, you can't say to your mum, I love your band, mum, or whatever. And he couldn't say to me, Graham, yeah, that's really good. He never he never says anything, but I know he really likes it, what we're doing. But he was like thrilled to go backstage and see what happens. And I think that's something that we're saying. There's a younger audience coming along now, which is
I think
great.
it's
And it's more,
important.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
young rock bands now
yeah.
too. A lot of
Yeah,
bands
you can't play
are
to,
emulating that too. There's a lot of good bands emulating the '80s.
yeah,
I was saying before, there's a lot more female bands, all female bands, female fronted
yeah,
bands.
yeah,
I try to get them on my show as much as I can. I think that's great because more younger, more mixed crowds of male and female and everyone, or non-gender, whatever. I mean, that's just what it needs because we need
yeah,
new bands because you're not going to have the theater of Maiden or you guys touring and all this stuff. You're not going to have it. You need to have live musicians putting the work in
yeah.
right now, not
I think that's
on
that's
Instagram.
what's happening. I think people are realizing how fucking boring this electronic bullshit is. Because a dog. I'm sorry. I have to let her out. She's wagging her tail here. Yeah, because I think people now are getting bored with the stuff I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's
Well, I think
all,
it's more radio. I think that the dance stuff is a dance crowd of people. That's like a specific dance group. I think what
yeah,
everyone's sick of is the radio,
yeah.
you know, product that they're just
There's
spitting out. It's like regurgitated.
Yeah, there's that disco thing going on. We
Yeah.
play a lot in England where, like in Manchester or wherever, we finish at, say, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we go outside, and there's a huge line around the block. And we go, oh, God, what? Is there another show on? No, it's a freaking disco. Watching some guy play music and go, do all his rap. It's like unbelievable. It's like, what the hell is happening? But as I was saying, it is turning around, I'm glad to say, because people want to hear real music played by real people,
Yeah.
not
I mean,
listening to something through some speakers somewhere, you know.
yeah. I mean, so like with your schedule, like, how are you keeping obviously your voice is good. How are you keeping yourself rested? I mean, do you feel
I'm
like you get,
not.
do you like, do you feel like you get, like, you're like, all right, I'm only going to tour this long a year or this many years? Like, do you feel like you want to keep yourself preserved? Because obviously, you're getting tired from training. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you keeping your energy up? Like, a lot of people cutting back on tours, and you're touring more than most people half your age. So,
Yeah. Uh, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like doing it some nights. I mean, obviously, I'm human, and I don't sleep real good, because when you've done a show, you've always got that show going through your mind. What happened on that show, or what we're going to do tomorrow, blah 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 blah. And we go to bed for an hour and then get up and have to get in the car and drive to somewhere else, or get on the plane. One day in this tour, we took like 3 different flights, didn't we, Bethany?
Yes, and I
Yeah.
threw up on all.
And she threw up on them all. She's very proud of that, and I'm very proud of her for saying that.
It was on the tarmac.
It was. Oh man, yeah. I thought, what the?
gross.
She was walking in front of me with a bunch of people from the plane, and she suddenly disappeared. And
I just fell to my
she was
knees,
on the,
asking God to take this barf away. And in fact, I could show you. I just found a whole bunch of Iberia vomit bags that I had
yes,
given me. It was awful. It was like a neurovirus, like a 48-hour one.
Yeah.
I had to keep a bin behind my amp.
yeah.
It was funny.
Oh,
Sorry.
I
It
don't
was.
know.
Tell you about them. Let's talk about me.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Yeah. I'll just scratch my hand.
Oh,
Hang on, I was going to get here. Just give 1 second. Scratch my
Well,
hand.
you
You know what I could
well, you're not the first person.
Well,
Throwing off a plane and throwing off a plane from a rock band kind of gives it that whole vibe. Not as it used to be, you know. But
what's that? Sorry.
I think making it a little more rock and roll by being sick and coming off a plane. It used to be from partying. Now it's just from being sick. Because
Oh yeah.
you know,
Well, I don't do that. I can't.
I'm good for about a half a pint. And then
I don't
I
think a
would
lot of people
die.
do. That's the model now. Everybody kind of, it's teetotal and it's very. You have to be, to work hard and be doing a lot nowadays. There's not a lot of that anymore. The excess. Not that I talk to. There isn't. As we were saying earlier, with you helping you actually you taking over, doing the managing and stuff, I see a lot of spouses and family members taking over management now of artists, doing a billion% better, and the artists are doing better than they've
Yeah.
ever been. It's not
I
surprising.
just did the budget. I just did the budget
Yeah,
Well,
for the last
I just told about it.
tour we
yeah.
just did. And, you know, when we put this band together initially, I was managing the band and I had zero experience, like zero. And I didn't want to do it because it's time consuming and it's not fun. And so I hired this fanboy that I met backstage at a show, and we became friends. He was really nice. And I asked him, would you be interested in doing this? Because he was really knowledgeable about Graham. And so we had him for a few years, and it started out good. And then just gradually, we were making a third of what we were making when I first started doing this. It was really bad. And so then we got this great management company, huge company that they do Saxon, Uriah Heep, Black Star Riders, Europe, like big name. And we thought, oh, this is going to be great. But we were low men on the totem pole. I have nothing bad to say about
no,
them
but
at all.
priority is priority. Numbers are numbers. Money is money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm friends with Steve Lukather, and he took over managing Toto, and he's like, it's so easy. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so I am doing that with still zero experience, but we are having better routing, better shows, bigger venues, more money. It's just better, so, and I'm kind of like with everything we've done, I'm sorry, I totally hijacked this. I'm so sorry.
No, you weren't actually. This is good. We were actually talking about you before. You just weren't here to add to this conversation. We were talking about this before, so it's good.
Yeah.
But I was
all
just
good stuff,
say,
I promise.
every new task I take on, because I literally wear so many hats, because I'm manager, tour coordinator, social media manager, merch. He's fighting a trademark battle for Alcatrazz, and I'm sort of spearheading that for him. And then shopping a deal for his version of Alcatrazz, which is unbelievable. I wish I could play you the demo. Actually, I probably could after this. But anyway, with each new task that I, become proficient at, and I even executive produced our last record, which I didn't know what I was doing, but it went off without a hitch. I had no problems, and I hired it was very female centric. It was an all female sort of
good.
Yeah, but I feel so proud of myself with everything that I'm learning to do. I'm like, oh my God, I can do things. I'm not just,
It makes sense. I mean, obviously, if you know what you like, and any woman that knows what she likes can figure out anything. So, and I mean, it's the highest compliment. Like, if you know what you like, you're in the driver's seat. You know what you like for the music. You know what Graham means. You know what how you tour. You're on the tour, so you know what you like, what you don't like, what's working, what's not working. I mean, everything's right there in front of you. Whereas somebody else doesn't really care what's going on. You're invested 100% in everything.
Exactly. And also, I'm just tired of him getting taken advantage of by people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That was the first thing, is you have his back. But collectively, the teamwork right there is very important to an artist, and then to the band, it shows in the music, I think it does. Yeah. I'm saying the music's been fantastic. These last 3 albums, I was saying, are like some of the best he's ever done. These last 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's which is so.
I agree with him too.
No, it's. I said to him before, I said, I never really want to listen to my albums again. I was like, oh, really? But this one, the last one we did, I could listen to it again and again, because the sound on it is so good. And I can hear different things in each track again, that I didn't realize we did in the first place, like little guitar bits or keyboard bits, whatever, little tricks that are in there. And I like my vocal performance, and I don't usually. I usually go, oh, crap, I should have done that again. But on this one, on these 3 albums, I've never sort of gone, let me do it again. I feel very, I'm very proud of those 3 albums we've made. They sound great to me, and I don't.
They sound top to bottom is what it is. To me, I like an album. I'm still the guy, the holdout that likes albums and like to hear it. I appreciate the order of songs that come in. They need a good lineup. So with a good lineup, all good songs, and they all sound a little bit different. It's a fun experience because I can listen to it beginning to end, and that's how I like to do that. I hate skipping around. and making a playlist. I want to hear an album, and that's why I can be like, I like these albums because I can just throw in that one. I'm gonna hear it. I'm gonna hear
Yeah.
Imposter. I'm gonna hear, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, and that's important.
Yeah.
Other albums I have to skip around. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good because I know what you're talking about. Because when I bought a Beatles album, I always skip Ringo track. Ringo's track. Oh, bloody hell!
Said that.
It's one of the. But this one, oh God, it sounds like I'm fucking on an ego trip here.
No.
But I could listen to all those tracks again and go, yeah, that's fucking good.
It
That's
was
really
fun
good.
figuring out the song order,
it's very
because
important.
they're so different from each other. We wanted to make sure that, we took everybody on like a really cool ride.
They have to tie in together, but not jump. They can be you can't jump the shark, but they got to work together, be different. And for the record, it's not ego if you have pride and you can still take ownership. You can have pride, but it's not making an ego trip. But back to the song listing is very important. I know that takes sometimes weeks for some bands to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, the dog.
I don't know. You're letting her do that. You have to be a boss. Lucy, sit. That's not sitting, but she's backing up. Sit. Come on, sit. Good girl. Good girl. Sit. Give me a paw.
Yeah, sorry about this.
Oh, isn't she great?
She is good.
Our little
dogs are great.
Did you can I just say a really cute, funny little vignette? Two things about this album. One, David's mom. When we played in Sheffield, was it? David came to the show.
Yeah, David's. My friend Dan. He hadn't heard the album. He hadn't heard that track, and I said to him, "It's a bit racy because it's about his mom." And I was like 7 or 8 years old or something. And I don't know if you know the song very well, but the David's mom. The story is absolutely true. I remember sitting at on the chair somewhere in David's mom's in their house, and we were going downtown, and his mom said, well, "I'll take you," And then the whole story comes out. She's standing in front of me. I'm going, okay, and then she starts to do the thing with the stockings. I'm going, what's the matter with me? I'm feeling funny, and of course I was, but I didn't know why. And she was looking at me and going, yeah.
Oh, dear.
I've got you. I've got your attention, Graham. Anyway, it was my first sort of experience in a sexual way, but not actually having sex.
Sexual awakening.
Sexual awakening, yeah. It was weird. To this day, I remember it and playing Les Paul records and all that thing I put in that song, all the stuff I put in there is absolutely true. We had one of those wind-up gramophone things, and Les Paul and Mary Ford on those whatever they were made of, but they used to break, acetate or whatever it was. And way before unbreakable LPs came along, and it was. Can
I tell you the second funny one?
Oh
yeah. So the song he wrote with Don Airey, he was really struggling initially. Like Don sent, a little pass, a lick, and Graham's going, what am I going to do with this? And he was really kind of listening from all angles and trying to figure out how to do it. And he's like, what is this about? It's just a freaking song, And so he chose that for the title. And then after it was completed and Don had heard it, he had written for tax reasons, he had to put it, or publishing, he said, what's the title? And I wrote back, I said, it's just a freaking song. And he's like, yeah, I know, that's funny, but what's the title? I know that's the title. Yeah. And he came actually to see us play last year, but we didn't do that song, but that was a funny little moment because he's like,
obviously I had to clean it up because I was going to go, it's just a fucking song.
Yeah, that was the original working title, just a fucking song.
I was getting angry at the notebook. I'm going, what the hell can I write here? Like everybody has that frustration, the blank paper is laughing at you, it's like, oh God, and I knew I had to get this done and I couldn't think of what to make it up about because the little thing that Don sent me wasn't very much. It was just a little pass of let's say, probably about 4 or 5 or maybe about 10 bars of keyboard stuff. And then we had to add to that to make it a full, song, so to speak. So that's what we did later. And then when we added the parts, the guitar parts, etc., then it came to me, yeah, it's just a fucking song. It's just a fucking song, and the blank papers are laughing at me because I can't think of what to write, But that's basically what that's about. And Davy's mom, Davy's mom, yeah. Davy's mom, by the way, passed away about 2 years ago. She was 92.
Wow.
92.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And she was a very beautiful young woman. And it was, she was slim and a bit like Bethany, slim and just built, just built perfectly.
Yeah, I just wish she had chosen anything but garters and stockings. What a pain in the butt.
Well, that was then. This is 1950.
I know, but you haven't lost your love for it, have you?
Oh, I know. I don't think any guy has. It's a thing.
She's saying it would have been nice if it was like sweatpants,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of being trussed up like a goose.
Yeah, but I mean, you wear a bra and all that. I mean, what's the difference?
Not so much anymore. He once begged
comfort.
you. It was exactly,
you want theater and you want comfort. It's
Yeah.
the story of the ages, right? Yeah.
Our first tour we did in Spain, the promoter took us out to eat, and I had brought a dress along. He's like, please wear the flying ear, which is what he calls that stuff. And so I said, okay. And I'm sitting at the table, the entire band, the promoter, a couple other people, when I hear snap, and my stocking goes shooting down my leg. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life sitting at this table eating paella because I'm not getting up, I'm just not doing.
Hey.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah. And you said wardrobe malfunction in the street.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did my best to try to rig it and get to the ladies' room to fix it, but I said from now on, this does not leave the house. That's
funny. Well,
should I get out of here?
Sure. No, you're fine. No, you're actually a part of the conversation, so it's fine actually. Or it makes sense. What is songwriting for the band at this point? Because he's, like I said, the past 3 albums, it feels a lot different. It feels more organic. Has it changed, or is it just the production? Is it like, what is the missing piece that it just sounds so much better? In my eyes, for years.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, meanwhile, back in the garage, Con had left the band at that point. So the production on that is not as good. And the songs are good because the one consistent thing is this guy. That's why the songs are good on Alcatrazz, and the songs are good, Michael Schenker, Assault Attack, because the consistent thing is Graham is a great writer. But Conrad, I'm sorry I'm taking over this freaking interview, but because Conrad's my bro, I got to say this. He brings out the best in Graham. The two of them work so well together that it just yins and yangs it like perfectly. Okay, I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That makes sense,
Yeah. Well, I think he's improved over the couple of years we've been together, Yeah, he really has. And taken a lot of time getting the sound of each track together, not just recording it and then okay, next. He listens to every little bit, and I do too with him, and just make sure it is, like I was saying, to get that that power that never seemed to be there on stuff I recorded years ago. It doesn't pick up the body. I'm talking about the voice, obviously,
right?
The body, what's there, the chest sound, the throat sound, the soft parts, the vibrato, etc.
Yeah, the mic is
the mic. What is that microphone?
Erland.
What is it called?
A company called Erland gave Graham a mic to record with, and it's just
it's fucking great.
Really captures his voice well.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
No, that's what we started off talking about, because nothing could capture his voice early on. It made it sound thin because he has such a large voice, but the microphones couldn't capture it the same. And so these last couple albums sound huge,
Yeah.
Even Meanwhile in the Garage, it still sounds bigger than some of the early ones, the classic ones. I mean, it has a bigger sound. But as far as like songwriting, when you've worked with different players all through your life, do you feel like it's because if you're more comfortable, you feel safer, you're pushing yourself more to write a better song? Or do you feel like sometimes that dynamic between like, like some artists, like it's a very bunch of push and pull. You know what I mean? My song, your song, and like no one will go outside their safe area. But when an artist works with someone else they trust, they'll do something that's a little more awkward and try something different. And I hear a lot of artists are like, yeah, working with this person is way better because I'm trying things new. I'm embarrassing myself because I'm pushing it. You know, do you find that's
No,
something happening?
I don't know. I never even thought about it really, to be honest with you. I just I've been very lucky that people say, "Oh, I'd like to play a track with you or an album track or something," and people send me songs, and I go, "No, no, no, no," because I always work with Conrad and Bethany. So it's just I think because of what I've done before, I've played with since I was 19 years old with very, very good musicians, and they've always been there. And people say, well, what are you doing now? What kind of music are you doing? And no matter what kind of music I've done over the years, people want to play with me for some reason. And it's not all been heavy metal, so to speak. It's been very varied. And I know a lot of great blues players, R&B players in England, and they all came to the fore and just said, "Okay." My manager would get all this together for me back then. I never organized the players as such, but there was always somebody there knocking at the door going, "Yeah, I'd love to play on the track with Graham." I've been very lucky that people like what I do in all different kinds of genre of music. It's not just that stuff. It's yeah, it's that as well, the angelic and the not so angelic. And I've been very, very lucky ever since I met the Bee Gees back in 1968. Those
Well, that's
guys
quite.
introduced me to the music business.
Well, you doing what? You did a couple of their songs, or two or three, or two
Yeah,
songs. I mean, that's what a way to start, right? Singing songs
yeah.
with original BJ's, like that doesn't suck.
I'm sorry.
That
I said
doesn't
that
suck.
doesn't suck. Starting
No,
off
it
with
doesn't. No,
by them.
I,
Oh my
I was.
god, I love the Bee Gees. So to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Well,
the best songwriters in the world
they they write for everybody. I
to
mean,
this day. To this
Barry's a very
day,
talented man.
yeah.
He was one of my closest friends, but I haven't seen him for like 50 years or whatever it is, 40 years. And we went to see him play, and we never got backstage to go into the dressing room because there was like a
We
crowd
were
waiting.
backstage, but there
There
was
was
like
too many.
150 people and we
Yeah,
just weren't
it was really
interested.
silly. I haven't seen him forever. Last time I saw him was in Australia back in 1990 something. They
Oh,
had an
wow.
album out, One. I think it's called One. And Maurice gave me the album. He said, "This is our new album. We're going to be in touch with you, Graham. We'll start recording again." And I almost got back with them, but then the Capitol Records said, "We don't want him." And they were with Capitol at the time. It was at the time when Michael Bolton, solo
Yeah,
singer, so to speak,
yeah.
were like the thing. And Barry said, "Well, we can work with you again, Graham. Come on, Michael Bolton." And I won't say what he said, but it
Yeah.
wasn't very flattering towards his talent. Let's say that. And I was really excited about it. And then I suddenly got a message from Barry. He called me up, and he said, "Graham, I've got some bad news for you." I said, "What is it?" He said, "The record company just want to go with this. And they were organizing my photograph sessions, him and Morris, because they were the Barry and Morris were my closest friends in the Bee Gees. And they got that all together. And it was just dropped. They said, "No, they don't want him." So that's, I was very, very, very upset about that because I was dying to work with them again. They were my close
Well,
friends. And I lived in London. Yeah.
you should try tracking him down. And I mean, I know he's down in Florida, being reclusive. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent him. What did we send him?
Well, I should have sent him a
I
book.
think we sent him a CD, like one of the albums.
Yeah, because Stephen, Stephen was his son. He's very much into
yeah,
Alcatrazz. Yeah, he was an
yeah,
Alcatrazz fan, an England Malmsteen fan.
yeah.
So, but Barry's not that kind of guy. He doesn't like all that. So.
No, but he actually Stephen was on my show not that long ago. Because Stephen has a
Yeah.
new album, Kill the
Yeah.
Robot. Really, really good stuff. Really kind of smart, different, and he'd also, I think when his album came out, Barry actually went online and typed a little note for people to check it out. But that's the thing. The only time I've heard him online in a long time. He's pretty much
Yeah. I've never met Stephen, but I was looking forward to saying hello to Barry again when we went to see him, and maybe get in touch with the family again, Linda and everything,
Yeah.
and because it sounds silly now, but we were really close. I mean, unbelievably close. Barry would come over to my house in London and come in his new. He had a car called the Marcos, or Marcus. There's like only 3 in the world or something, and it had L plates on it, which is even funnier because he couldn't drive, so he had to take somebody with him. And in England they had that big red L for learner. So there's this fancy freaking car rolls up outside the apartment, and I looked out the window, and the seats really laid back. It looks like something that Batman would, drive or something. And there's this car, this Marcus, which got like billions of dollars. I don't know how much exactly, but Barry would come pick us up, me and my cousin. And but anyway, eventually the L plates went. But it was just so funny to see this really jazzy, souped up fucking vehicle and L plates on it. You don't drive a car like that with L plates. You drive an old Ford or something, But this was an exclusively built car. There's like, as I said, there's about 7 in the world. So they're like tailor-made for certain people. And so
I've never heard of that. I'll have to look it up. I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's quite the first car to learn on, though, huh?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's called Marcos or Marcos. I'm not sure, but it was. There weren't many in the world. I should say that because not many people could afford them, but Barry could at that time.
I think the only thing I've seen Barry in the Bee Gees were those little vans.
I'm sorry, what?
I think the only thing I've seen for Barry and the Bee Gees were some of the videos for some of the vans that they did. Those little vans that they were in with the Bee Gees on it. I think that's the only thing I've seen it in. So I'm sure it'd be easy to track down.
Yeah. Well, my cousin was in the Bee Gees. My partner in crime on our early recordings, and so I saw a lot of the Bee Gees home movies. My cousin used to film them, and they used to film each other, and it was so funny that I saw those kids grow up as little boys, singing their Peter, Paul, and Mary songs were their favorites. I seem to remember, Blowing in the Wind and whatever else, But the harmony was there since they were, 10 years old or whatever, or before that even. But they just knew each other's voices so well, and Morris knew where to put his harmony, and Robin also, and then Barry was always the lead. But then eventually it turned around. It was Robin and Barry were taking the lead, lead vocals, and that became when they split up. That was one of the reasons they split up, was because they couldn't agree on, who's going to sing this one, who's going to sing this one. And so Robin went out on his own, Morris was out on his own, and Barry, and neither of them did very well, until they got back together again.
The strength of all of them together. Yeah.
I mean, the brothers, for Christ's sakes, and it was just to see those old videos of them on TV shows was just amazing. My cousin in Australia, he had his own show, or a show he hosted, and he would have the Bee Gees on as guests. And then the Bee Gees had him, my cousin Trevor, as lead guitar player and lead singer. So the early records made by the Bee Gees his name is Trevor Gordon and the Bee Gees on the Leiden label. And so
I'm sure I've heard it because I actually liked some of the earlier albums before they broke, worldwide. There's some good stuff on those early albums, like the first couple. There's some really good vocal lines on there that I just don't think the world's discovered. They do it for the pops, the bigger hits. Those early albums are treasures on their own.
Yeah, there's one album called Rare, Precious, and Beautiful. That's one that my cousin played on a few tracks on that. But of course, Trevor, my cousin, he didn't, stay with the Bee Gees. They all lived in Australia. The Bee Gees came to England to be managed by Robert Stigwood, and Trevor, my cousin, was still in Australia. But he came over later, and he came over to live with me and my mum and dad because his parents stayed in Australia to pursue a career in London, and that he did. He was in a couple of TV shows, and then later on, we got Barry's telephone number. It's a long story. I'm sorry, I'm babbling on a bit here. But later on, we got Barry's telephone number. We went over to see Barry, my cousin Trevor. He went over to see Barry. And Barry said to him, Trevor, we'll start recording with you again. Because he said to him, which Trevor didn't like, he says, I think you're like the Cliff Richard of Australia. And Trevor goes, what? You know, Cliff Richard. He didn't like that at all. And he said to the guys, he said, well, my cousin sings also. And that's me, because we were playing in a band together in London, me and Trevor. And so I went over a couple of days later and we started singing together with our guitars, acoustic guitars, at Robert Sigwart's apartment. And Robert Sigwart said, Barry, do you have a song for these boys? And Barry said, no, but if you insist. Suddenly we were a duo, a duo even. We were a duo. And so me and Trevor were partnered like the Righteous Brothers. And that's the kind of a tag we got in England was the British Righteous Brothers, Trevor and Graham. We're called the Marbles, unfortunately, which is Barry's name. He suggested that. And I'm going, no. But I couldn't say no.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, Stigwood thought of, what did he wanted to call us the gravy train, Robert Sigwart's idea. And Barry goes, no. And then, of course, Robin and Maurice had ideas, but it was in the end, it was Barry's decision. The Marbles, and it sounds such a wimpy name, but we had a hit record or two.
Well, in time period, a lot of band names haven't held up over the years. So I think back then it fit. It wasn't that out there. At the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is crazy, and it is phenomenal for the songs you start off with. So, what are we looking at for this year? Are we going to tour?
Yeah.
Or and then an album, or what's the plans for people?
Yeah, Bethany's got.
Well, we're touring early in the year. We've got some American shows, and directly after that, we've got Scandinavia. And beyond that, I'm actually not sure what's going on. But we do need to record something, and what we're trying to figure out is it going to be Graham's version of Alcatrazz that he's going to do next, or will it be another GBB album? Because GBB is always going to be our baby. It's a priority. Yeah. But people always say, like, Graham Bonnet's name is stronger than Alcatrazz. You don't need that name. Right. And they say, or just, do the material. Because did you talk about Jeff Loomis and Van Williams?
Not really, no.
Okay, because his version of Alcatrazz includes Jeff Loomis from Nevermore and RGB, and Van Williams from Nevermore, and they're insanely talented men, like crazy good. But the material that they're doing does not sound like the Graham Bonnet Band, and you can't just, call a band a name because it's convenient. It's not the Graham Bonnet Band. We're not Alcatrazz. That's what the other guys in our band did, was because I was in Alcatrazz. We just toggled over to Alcatrazz. We thought that name would have selling, but it really didn't. We didn't. If anything, it wasn't as popular as Graham Bonnet. So, but it's a different feel. It's a different style of music, even though they're both harder. They're two different animals. So it's kind of, we might be coming in the back door as far as how we're gonna get it. I know it's a start, and I'm like, oh, that's not a good choice of words.
Coming in the back door.
But
that'll be the third innuendo of the show tonight with him.
Is that all? Graham, you're slipping.
Well, right.
We've been focused. We've been focused on topics.
So we may actually start with, because we're tight with a label in Japan, and we may start with them and then try to find distribution in Europe, as opposed to normally it's the other way around. And we work with Frontiers. They're a fine label. I'm a little disappointed in them because they, without discussing it with us, went with a different label on our last record. And it was really a letdown for the label that were,
Right.
songs with,
Mm.
So, and that's why I'm glad I have a little bit more of a handle on what's happening, because I can make some decisions based on that. So anyway, if we can, it might be Alcatrazz first. Graham Bonnet's Alcatrazz. He could never use it in the pure form again, because it's just been degraded by the people who've made 2 records on it and called it that. And I don't know if you've heard them, but
I actually haven't, because Alcatrazz has always been. I'm not just saying that, is the old albums that back in the day, and that's
why. I don't know what their plan was to call a band Alcatrazz that sounded nothing like Alcatrazz, nothing, because they don't have the songwriting, because they never contributed to the guys that are in the band now. He gave them credit just because he's that guy, he'll do that. But they didn't contribute to any of the songwriting. They didn't write anything. So it doesn't sound, they can't sound like Alcatrazz.
I actually haven't seen it or followed it. Actually, I've only known that there's been the split of the names,
Yeah.
And it's always a hassle to kind of, because I think if the fans know it's you doing Alcatrazz songs, regardless of what you're called, whether it's just you as like Graham Bonnet, like a solo, and the album's called Alcatrazz. You know what I'm saying?
He said the same thing. I just called the album Alcatrazz, called the band Graham Bonnet.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But that would say it's the
idea, isn't it?
No,
that would draw a line. You may have, who knows how things work out. But my
trademark
point is,
battle is raging.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, regardless, I think the fans, it gets kind of so diluted after a while. No one's like, I don't care. I just want to hear the music. If they see Graham's name and they hear he's going to be doing Alcatrazz and Alcatrazz style music, he's going to go regardless of what the label and the wording and the picture is. You know what I mean? Everything else is just the details for you guys as far as the promo and the payment. That's really what it comes down to, because the fans are going to see you do Alcatrazz songs. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, the other band can't. There's certain songs they can't do live. They just can't. Who could reproduce the sound of Graham Bonnet?
Right. Well, that's the sound. Well, to me, that is the sound of him. That's hard because there's a lot of classic bands they try going on. I support bands going on, but there is always a classic lineup, as we were talking about earlier, that is a band that's, and there's not a lot of bands you can go on with the original singer and or guitar player sound. Maybe the guitar player you can emulate. The singer can't really, copy the singer. Very few bands do it. If they do, they're like a super tribute band, which is kind of hard too. I'm not going to throw any bands on the bus, but when the singers left their bands and they still have them, and they've grabbed singers from tribute bands or whatever, and filled it in. It sounds good, but it's not. The heart's not the same anymore.
Right.
I say we're in a tribute to Graham Bonnet. Our band is a tribute to Graham Bonnet, because I mean, we try to play some of our newer material, but he's had so many hits and it's mandatory we play them, that sometimes it's like, oh, that's right, we're still making music.
Well, that's the hard part. I was going to ask that too. I mean, I'm going to wrap this up, but I wanted to ask that to be the last question. So the challenge of writing new music, and hopefully we can do this again later on when you get you work on the next album. I'd like to talk again. Set lists, though, how are we? Because that is a good question. Like, if it's your show, you can do a longer night, but that's a lot on the band and everything else in the venue. So picking songs, but writing new music's exciting. Writing good music is got to be like kicking the butt if you can't play it live, because it's not like you're just like dialing it in for an album for the label. You're writing because you love it.
We do some of the newer stuff, and the audiences are usually singing along. They know the songs. So
that's a problem with new things. You never know exactly what to do because nobody knows it. But I noticed when we did, I think it was in Japan. What did we play in Japan? Two.
We did 3. We did Into the Night off the first record, and then off the newer record we did Imposter and Uncle John, which is a waltz.
Wow.
Yeah. And I looked down at the audience, and I'm thinking they're singing the freaking, the verses, not the chorus where everybody sings along, like usual, but they're singing the verses with me. So they definitely listened in Japan. That's one of our main markets, obviously. And when I went over there with Rainbow years ago, I remember Cozy Powell saying to me, "You won't believe what it's going to be like when you go to Japan." So, Japan, and then suddenly I did realize, well, once we got off the bloody plane, it was like Beatlemania. It was insane. You know, people. We went into the lobby of the hotel, and people coming from behind plants, and so you know, it was like
That sounds awesome
incredible.
for like 5 minutes, and then it just sounds to me like, oh, too many people. I need my space.
But
I
it
would be
was
the worst touring musician ever.
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. But I tell you something, that was the best time of my life. Because it changed the way I thought about music, the way I thought about this kind of music, the so-called heavy music or heavy rock, whatever it is. Because I was so dedicated to doing more, you know, sort of R&B pop type of thing, you know, or anything, folk songs. You know, I recorded anything. I didn't have one particular way to go, vocal wise, because I like singing everything, jazz, whatever it may be, reggae. Uh, I don't know.
Well, big Cliff Richards fan, so
Irish music. I don't know. But you know, I just like singing, not being put in a box. You know, like oh, he's a heavy metal singer, or yeah. I'm just a singer. The end. Not heavy metal, not R&B, not pop. But I'm a singer. I'm singing the same way as I did now as I did when I was, you know, 19. I'm singing the same kind of notes, the same kind of inflections in my voice, the same kind of high notes, low notes, vibrato, etc. I'm doing the same thing, but all of a sudden I'm heavy metal. Huh? I accept that, which is great. I love that. It's
well,
fantastic.
it's the
But I'm
power
proud
and
of myself.
community is what it is. I think that's the difference. Is
Hey?
of all the genres, heavy metal, hard rock has more of a community feeling. I think
Yeah, yeah.
of all of them. I think that's and it's a
Well,
little
I
more
never
open
thought of
minded.
myself like that. You know, I never thought of being. I
He
just
calls this snails.
that's a snail.
Snails, the snails.
I'm just a sing. You know
And
what I
now
mean?
I
I'm
will
just.
forever. Thank you.
Is,
That's all I'm going to think about now. Thanks.
Yeah,
A
he'll go,
lifetime of
"Oh, that's a
porn
two
just to see the
snailer."
snails.
is that a one snail or a two snail? Oh, I think it's a one snail. That one. Or maybe one and a half. That's how heavy it is. But you know, a singer is a singer, a guitar player is a guitar player, I think. And you know, I never thought of Richie Blackmore being a heavy metal guitar player. I just think he was a very good guitar player, incredibly good. You know, but then when Ingve was in Alcatrazz, that was more. It was wilder and probably a little
Yeah.
bit more heavy, if you will. You know, but a guitar player is still a guitar player, still the same freaking notes. And I'm still singing the same way as I did when I was in the Marbles. Thank you, Barry Gibb.
That's what you should call it. The
Hey,
Marbles Alcatrazz.
yeah, I
There you go.
know. You've got to listen to the Marbles. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back. There's actually, yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to that. I gotta listen to the earlier albums and go back and hear it with fresh ears now. Where
yeah.
I'm gonna put the links for everybody that's listening and watching. Where can they go that's best to keep updates for the tour and stuff?
No,
We rely on the Graham Bonnet Music Facebook page
Okay. Yep.
to
Which is what
give.
I follow. I didn't know if you had another source that you like to use better or less,
Now we probably should get a website, but I feel like people use social media, and we should probably toggle over to like TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But Facebook works better with our age group.
I was gonna say that actually it is. It's hard because but then you're dealing with the algorithms and only a handful of people see what's really out there. Instagram is owned by Facebook. TikTok is a whole different generation, which is really the quick 10-second dancing. I don't even know. I tried it a little bit for my show. I stopped. I stopped doing it. It was just going to give me an anxiety attack. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I said you haven't lived till you've seen Graham dance.
Graham, which one?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
but so I mean, that's the challenge of what to do. Like,
yeah.
So maybe having something, a main page or something, a good place to sell your wares and your hat.
We have really good engagement on the Graham Bonnet Music Facebook page.
Well, that's where the link will be, and obviously go over to, wherever you stream, but I mean, go to YouTube at least and stream from there because at least you'll probably get a better gig off the money if you're at least going to stream it from YouTube or YouTube Music than you will from the other streamers. Not going to mention any names, Spotify.
Right.
But I think you'll probably get better, at least they'll you can track them better on YouTube. That's where all your stuff I've been listening to off of YouTube music lately. I started doing that, trying them, and sounds good. And all your stuff, well, they hit the music, just music thing I do now, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun. That's what I want to listen to now. So
I love the comments on YouTube. They're hilarious. They're so funny.
The comments.
I mean,
comments I
they're
hear.
mostly favorable, but every now and then somebody says something stupid, but sometimes they just say things are really funny,
Yeah,
you know?
I've heard quite a few on my page too. I
Yeah.
don't get into it. I won't engage with them. I just keep moving on.
Oh,
Like,
if anybody says something shitty, I just move on. I mean, they're entitled to their opinion. I don't care. I don't dwell. I don't care. And fortunately, I mean, some people bag on me a little bit, but I don't get mentioned all that much in one way or the other. But it's all about.
but
All
why
about
should anybody say anything about anybody? I'm like, people on my
these are
page will say something. I'm like,
books.
why you come on my page? I literally put together a nice interview with an artist with maybe some different questions. Of clearly, you're here because you like the artist. Why would you leave something negative? If you walk to
Yeah.
somebody's house, would you say something negative on the way out? Like, if you don't like the person or you don't like the interview,
Miserable.
just click it. Like, to take
Three
the
less
extra effort
quality.
as an adult to do that, like, what kind of person are you? I'm not going to cry
Miserable.
about it. I could care less. But my point is, like, it just reflects on them. I'm like,
Yeah.
go back to your basement. Whatever.
That's it. That's it. That's
I don't have the
exactly.
effort. If you're not
All the
positive,
lonely
then just
people, they're lonely.
They're
They're
just
lonely and
miserable,
bored.
and they want to take you down with them.
And they can make friends instantly by just going click, or lose friends instantly.
I
It's
think it's losing them. You're not going to hang around my show much because I don't need that noise.
yeah,
It's all about just enjoying the music, and the community,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
So this has been fantastic. Thank you both of you. I'm glad you came on
yeah.
too.
Thank you, sir.
No. I was actually I thought you were
Anytime.
gonna be on. I
And
didn't.
I want that guitar on the. I like the one on the left. That one there. That looks nice. That one. So send it to me.
Right, care of, yeah, right. Some of the turquoise is my daughter's bass, and a lot of mine aren't
Okay.
even here. And this one are upstairs. Yeah, that's actually I don't know. Abinad's bass, I think. And I
Yeah.
think what else here? Another couple. A lot of those are my kids, and some of them are mine. Mine are all upstairs. So, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta stop getting them. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up in divorce court. So that's a woe
Yeah.
for me right now. Besides, records are easier to sneak into the house than the guitar. It's
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
When we came home from the tour, there was a big cup in the living room from Fender, and I'm like, what is this? And I look and it's got my name on it. And I'm like, did they make a mistake or something? And I opened it up, and it was a beautiful American made Precision, and there was no card, there's nothing in it. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And my mind instantly went to one of my closest friends is actually an A&R person at Charvel. And I texted him and I said, you wouldn't happen to have something to do with this, would you? And he's like, I might. And I said, I don't understand. He said, you're so good to us. I just wanted to say thank you for always being so good. I love this guy so much. He's been one of my closest besties for like 30
He's
years.
horrible.
And it was so timely because
Yeah.
right when I literally did not know when I landed at the airport, she's not my mother-in-law because I divorced her son a million years ago, but I stayed very close with not just my ex-husband, but his mother.
I told him.
And so I didn't even know if she was alive when we landed. I literally got in a cab and I rushed over there, and I did manage to get a few hours with her, but it was, after being sick on the road. We were in Japan like 5 weeks ago. We came home from Japan, instantly went into rehearsals for a week, hosted a dinner party for 16 on Thanksgiving, and got on a plane that night and had a grueling tour where everybody got hurt or was sick for 3 weeks. And then we flew home on what would have been my father's 92nd birthday. And I came home to my mother-in-law who died the next day. You know what I mean? Like, that bass could not have come at a better time. It really just was the little ray of hope in a very, very dismal moment. I love him. I don't want to say his name on,
It's all right.
but
That's all right. It's okay. But that's awesome. That's good. Again, that's a good special thing. Good things are like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's the world. That's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Thank you both for being very generous with your time today. Been a fan.
Well, anytime,
thank you for not hinting that I should leave.
we'll always be here.
No, I actually thought I asked you on the interview when I reached out to you. I meant to actually ask you officially to be part of it. So I didn't even think about that. Yeah, well.
Oh, I always.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Like, I'm sorry. I actually apologize. I actually thought I did. And I'm thinking back. I'm like, I don't know if I did. I hate typing. I hate writing letters, texts, emails. I'm the quickest about it. That's why I'm talking. It's not an interview and I'm going to write it down like a news review. It's all about talking. So I forget things all the time. Ask my family. But
yes. Thank you very much. Me too.
We'll do this again. Let's just catch up later next year, sooner, and catch up. Okay. I'll send you the links when the show's ready to go up. Okay, if you want to share, at least
Okay.
have
Oh
a copy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Thanks.
Spotify, iTunes, it goes everywhere. You everywhere.
yeah.
So
No.
Awesome.
thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. You
Thank
too,
you.
man.
Nice
Take
meeting
Okay,
you.
care.
bye.